Facebook continues to be a great platform for reaching, connecting, engaging, and converting even your viewers and engagers into conversations and, of course, into sales. The problem is that a lot of businesses have seen a decrease in organic traffic on Facebook and other platforms, which is really becoming a problem, especially for small business owners and entrepreneurs who really rely on platforms like Facebook to reach out to, connect, engage, and have great conversations with their target audience. So what I'm going to do today is review 10 tips that you can use on Facebook that for the most part you don't have to pay for, but one of the items that I am going to mention is related to paid advertising. But the other ones are just things that you can do to increase your chances for connecting with your audience, increasing engagement, and ensuring that you're maximizing the time that you're on Facebook and connecting with those people who are most likely to do business with you. So stick with me and let's get to it. Hi, I'm Vicki Carroll, your Plateau to Grow marketer. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk about Facebook tips that are going to help you as an entrepreneur or small business owner continue to gain traction and continue to get your target audience to come back and engage with you, continue to expand your reach organically without spending a ton of money. Let's face it, we're not big companies that have huge budgets that we can spend on an advertising campaign on Facebook or any other platform. So we're very grateful for the fact that Facebook and some of these other platforms have provided free tools and free access to our target audience. The key to that is really diving in and understanding who our target audience is, where they spend time, and the best ways to connect with them. But you really need to identify who your ideal target customers are. Then I will click here, or you can click there, and I will include a link to a video that I did that talks about identifying your ideal customers. In the description, I'll also include a link to a podcast episode I created over a year ago that talks about the importance of understanding who your ideal customers are and how to define your target audience. So if that's of interest to you and you don't already have that done, then go ahead and do that and then come on back. You don't want to miss this. We're talking Facebook here. The first tip I have for you and how you can continue to show your presence on Facebook and find your ideal customers, engage with them, and really just connect with them on a deeper level is to post content with intent. Now, what does that mean? First, I'm going to say know who your ideal customers are, which I just talked about. The second thing is to have a marketing strategy that has a portion of that has a content strategy. Your content is the connector between your brand and your ideal customers. Whether you develop a piece of content for Facebook or someplace else, you're always going to develop it with some type of purpose, right? You want to have a message. You're trying to achieve something with that piece of content, whether it's creating brand awareness or it's trying to connect with them and have them get to know, like, and trust you before they buy from you. Or it could be somebody who's already bought from you and you're trying to keep them as a customer. As you can imagine, all of those different stages have different content that you need to develop in order to capture a potential buyer's interest and help navigate that process and nurture them through their buyer's journey at their pace. So knowing that, you know that you can't really just throw content out there and just kind of let it stick and see what happens. You really need to have a strategy and understanding who they are and why are they spending time on Facebook? What are they hoping to gain from not just being on Facebook, but by connecting with you? That is really where the true value is that they're choosing to follow or connect with you. That means that they've seen some type of value that you've provided and you've solved a pain point or you've helped them take that next step in their process at some point, and understanding those reasons why they're connecting with you is really important to your overall business strategy and your content strategy on Facebook. The second tip I have for you on Facebook is to try to blend in. Now, I know that sounds silly because you may see that as someone's looking at it as a brand versus a friend that they're seeing in their feed, correct? Well, the point to blending in is to not try to be something you're not, but really try to be a part of a conversation that they might see in their feed. So, an example would be before would be showing a product of some sort, and maybe even not saying, hey, buy this product, but maybe it's saying, hey, use this particular product instead of here's how customers love this product, which would be the after. That would even be a great example of using user generated content as part of your overall content strategy, which is huge. You can never go wrong with user generated content. The third tip I have for using Facebook for reaching your audience organically really kind of ties into number two. But the third one is to use a content calendar. This I can't talk enough about. In fact, I have one if you're interested in downloading a content calendar. I will include that link in the description as well. But I highly recommend that you use a content calendar because this is one way that you can ensure that you are taking into consideration the entire customer journey. And you're looking at what works and what doesn't work. What do they respond to? What do they engage with? Which ones do they send you a direct message on and then engage in some type of direct message with you? That's the type of content that you really need to get your arms around so that you know what's working, and then you can create more of that type of content. You'll use your content calendar to keep you organized and make sure that you're reaching your audience on Facebook as frequently as you need to, but then also you can use that same content calendar to put content on other platforms wherever your ideal customers are spending time. The fourth tip for small businesses on Facebook to reach their audience organically is to really optimize your profile. If you've set up your profile yourself, or if there's someone else that did, then this would be a great tip to pass along to them so you can share this video with them. But it's something that you want to look at and understand how your page is actually set up. There are different tabs that you can use, some that you can show, some that you can hide, you can rename them. And you'll want to make sure that you have the right ones listed. And it may have changed since you first started your business page. I know I've gone in a couple of times and changed mine as well, just because there were some things I really didn't need that I thought I would at first. And I ended up removing those or hiding those and then adding other ones. And you can also change the order. So that's really important, especially if you're a service-based business. You'll want to have your reviews as one of the top tabs on your page. And the reason being is if Facebook is the place where you have your biggest audience, and that's where you spend the most time because that's where your ideal customers are spending time, then you'll want to make sure that you encourage them to leave a review on your Facebook page. That then is shown to anyone interested in following you or connecting with you. And it also helps with the algorithm. I'm sure the Facebook algorithm is similar to the other platforms where if you do more and you take more pride in your Facebook page, and you're more engaging with it and you have more people participating and using different features, that you're more likely going to be placed higher in the algorithm than someone who's not taking any time or attention on their Facebook page or very little. So keep that in mind as well. Definitely evaluate your profile and make sure that you have it optimized for your business as it is today. Not even 6 months ago, but today. The fifth tip is to evaluate whether or not a Facebook community page or a Facebook group makes sense for your business. If Facebook is your main platform that you invest the most time because that's where your ideal customers are spending time, maybe it's time to evaluate if you have a need to create a Facebook group. Now, if you already have one, great. Let me know in the comments below if that is something that you found value in, if it's been a waste of time, if you spend time there, if you're engaging with the people who are members of that group. I would love to hear from you. There's so many different ways that you can set up a Facebook group, purposes, intentions, and just the rules that you can have for people joining, whether it's a private group or it's a public group. So there's different ways that you can do that. So it really depends on, one, if you have an audience there. Two, if it makes sense to actually create a group, what will you create the group for? You don't want to create a group just to have a group. But if there's an intent behind that and maybe rewarding people for being a part of this group, providing additional content or going live only in that group, then you're going to better understand your audience and how engaged they are with your brand. So if you have people who are willing to, let's just say, pay to be in a Facebook group, or it's a free service as a result of being in a paid online course, then that's something that you're going to give some thought to, because that gives your audience or people who are interested in that particular online course a place that they can engage and talk to each other. And it also gives you a place where you can go live or provide additional content to support the materials in your online course, either before, after, during the launch, or things that you only want available for a specific amount of time. I think all the social platforms now have the stories capability available, including Facebook. So you're probably familiar with this. Snapchat was the very first one to launch the stories concept. Then came Instagram, and then it started getting rolled out into all the other platforms. Even Pinterest and YouTube have that capability now. So on Facebook, again, if this is your main platform or you're wanting to invest more time and energy and content into Facebook, consider using the stories feature. This is available for the individual pages and it's available for your business page. So it's a completely different reach and a completely different audience, because you may have people who are more interested in stories than in watching all the content that goes in their feed. Understanding your target audience and their user behaviors behind their time on Facebook is really going to play a critical component into your overall strategy and understanding what content you need to create. How long do you want that content to be available? Because in stories, it's not available forever. Or it could just be a story that you're directing people to a piece of content that you already created in your feed. So there's a strategy behind even using the Facebook stories, but it will reach a wider audience than something that you would post just on Facebook in your feed. The seventh tip is using the metrics to understand what's happening in your audience. So we don't want to get caught up in the vanity metrics, right, of every post. So you post something, you're like, okay, how many views, how many likes, how many comments? That's great to know on a higher level, but definitely not on an individual post or micro level, because you can definitely get caught up in the vanity metrics. And in the big picture, they really don't mean anything. What you really want to do is look at your insights and understand what content is getting the most exposure. Out of that exposure, how many people did I gain as followers or connections? How many comments did I get? Were they high value comments, or were they just people saying, hey, I agree? The vanity metrics aren't really important in the overall scheme, but it is important to look at your statistics of all of your content, just so that you can understand what's working and what's not working, because you definitely don't want to invest time in content that's not working and ignore the content that is working. The eighth tip I have for small businesses and entrepreneurs on Facebook is to use Messenger. If you've been on Facebook and you're already using this, you may be using this as a customer service tool. Who would have thunk, right? So consider using Messenger as a customer service tool as well. Tip number 9 is the only one that has to do with any type of budget dollars. And this is to consider a small budget percentage dedicated to paid advertising on Facebook. The reason why I say this is because your organic content, including your stories and your messages through your messenger, can only get so much reach. With paid advertising, even with a small budget every single month, you are actually expanding your reach beyond anybody who even knows you organically. So if you have even $100 in your budget for the month, then I would recommend a short Facebook ad campaign, or look at how you can expand that $100 over the entire month, depending on when your audience is most active on Facebook, and developing a campaign on Facebook specifically with that $100. This will also help you understand your expanded audience and what they're going to respond to. Tip number 10 for entrepreneurs and small businesses who are looking to use Facebook and have a small budget. One of those items is using Facebook custom audiences. What this is, it's phenomenal. With the videos that you put on Facebook, there are statistics that you can look at to see how long people are watching your videos. Now, let's just say this is a high-level video where you're talking about a new product that you just released, and you've got half of your audience that's watched the majority of that video, and we'll say 80% of that video. So you've got 50% of your audience that hasn't watched it. What this custom targeted audience concept or tool is it allows you to develop a second video that goes deeper into that topic or the value that your product can give to the people who watched it, hopefully taking them further down their journey, right? And providing an opportunity to connect with them on a deeper level so that they can start to know, like, and trust you more. But you can then have a second video that's delivered to that audience that's considered warm. And it'll just help take them to that next level in the journey, and not only connecting with you and building the trust, but also taking them to the next step in their journey to purchasing a solution. And since they're watching your video, they're more likely going to purchase from you. So what this does is it just retargets your video to that audience that's more connected to the first video. And you can do this in Facebook Ads Manager. It allows you to build a custom audience profile that when this video is viewed, then this video is launched to this warmer audience. So that is the retargeting concept that I mentioned. If you have a lot of people watching your videos, but you don't have a lot of conversion or a lot of those people taking that next step in their process, then this retargeting campaign would be a great next step for you and help you really understand if maybe you're just not providing enough information or enough value in that higher level content, and you needed to provide a secondary or more relevant level content to them in order for them to better understand how you can help them and to take that next step into really giving you their information that turns into a lead that you can then nurture and help them get along that process to buying from you. All right, that's what I've got for you today. The 10 tips for small businesses and entrepreneurs who want to grow more on Facebook organically. So if that is something that you liked, hit that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell notification if you're new here. I do upload new videos every week. So if this is content that you like, whether it's social media marketing, marketing strategy, I even go into business topics. Sometimes I'll do sales tips. If any of that is of interest to you, you'll definitely want to subscribe to this channel because I will continue to producing more content like this for you here. I also have in the description all of my social media connections. So if you want to connect on Facebook, the link is listed there below as well. And I would love to connect with you on Facebook too. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And until next time, I'm Vicki Carroll.